Hello all, it's your girl Candace from Swipes and Giggles. We're here to give you the 411 on online dating and a little bit more. And you know me, it's your girl Kandi, and we are here for Insecure Season 4 Recap 3, hunty. Episode 3. There was a lot that went down there, but before I get into that, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and make sure that you click the thumbs up button for this video if you want to get any more recaps, and also make sure that you are sharing this video with all your fellow people. I am at 280 subscribers and I've been there for a very long time. I would like to get out the 200s. I want to get into the 300s. I've had YouTube for over like 2.5 years now, and it's just ridiculous that I have not got any more subscribers. But then it's okay, because I understand that the content doesn't fit everyone, and that's perfectly fine. But if you have somebody who enjoys videos, like if you enjoy my videos, if you like you know how I conduct my videos, if you have any actual suggestions of like how I can get more interactive with you guys and how we can talk and communicate with each other, that would be great. You can also follow me on Swipes and Giggles on Instagram, where I update my page almost every single day. You can also follow me on Candy Taste Sweet, which is my personal Instagram. I don't know how else I can get more creative. I know that during this whole quarantine, I definitely should have did that and took advantage of it. But I am just trying to figure out how I'm going to basically put more of my time in my channel. So drop any comments down below to let me know. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I want to get straight into this recap because, honey, there was a lot going on in this episode. Too much for me to handle. So I'm going to go over the general stuff so that way you have that as a backstory, so I don't have to keep going and diving into it during the entire recap. And if you like the recap, make sure that you like it. And also, if you have any comments about certain things that I go over, please drop them down below. My biggest question here, Molly and Issa. Where do you think Molly and Issa's relationship is going to go? Please drop your comment down below. Even if you haven't watched episode 3 and you're using this as a recap because you just don't have time to like really sit down and watch it, please drop your comment down below. What do you think is going to happen in Issa and Molly's relationship? So let's go and get into this because, honey, I recorded 30 minutes of this and I said I'm talking way too much and going way too in detail. This is a recap, not a full entire story. Let's get into it. So this is 3 weeks later after episode 2, because that was Halloween. This is Thanksgiving, and we all know within a 3 to 4 weeks time, depending on how the months move, that Thanksgiving is technically 3 to 4 weeks after Halloween. So this is a Halloween, this is a Thanksgiving episode, and we are looking at everyone's Instagram stories. So everybody has been sharing their Instagram stories as a part of the episode to see what each person is doing and what's going on, what they're doing. So basically what I like to hint at is that it is showing how social media is influenced in our lives. And it also just shows what a typical Thanksgiving looks like when you have social media. You're looking on everybody's IG stories and it shows what's going on in their households. So I'm going to just go over what happens in the 2 households that we're not included in this episode, just so you guys know. We have Kelly. Kelly is having all of her aunts over. I don't know how many aunts Kelly has, but she's having all of her aunts over for Thanksgiving. And they were arm wrestling. Even the girl from the ratchet, what, I don't know what you call them, the attendee or whatever, who lives in Issa's complex, got invited with her son, and she had Crown Royal Peach, which is my favorite. But she had her aunts over, and Tiffany and Derek celebrated their Thanksgiving together while awaiting the arrival of their little one. So that was the Instagram stories that we seen, and Issa also put up an Instagram story, but we'll get into that once we get further into this recap. Once again, please like, share, and subscribe if you like my voice and you like the vibe. I will be looking like this every Sunday when it comes to these recaps, because, honey, it is late at night, and granted, I don't be going to bed till 4 o'clock in the morning now, but you still gonna see how I be looking like before I go to bed. And this bonnet is crazy big. Look how much the extension is on that. Okay, honey. Let me hide them edges real quick. Because it's a little roller perm set, rod set underneath this real quick. So getting into Insecure season 4, episode 3, we open up with Lawrence practicing his pitch for his job. Now, I don't know if this is a new idea that he has, or if this is something that he's working with a different member of his team, but he is practicing a pitch. He gets startled by Candela's alarm, which is that iPhone alarm, like, like you're, I don't know, whatever. So they're laying in bed together at this point, and, he basically is asking her what her Thanksgiving plans are. She says that she is going to be doing a Friendsgiving that she always does with her friends. And he's like, oh, okay, well, can I come? And she's like, oh, sure, yeah, if you want to come, that's cool. He's like, all right, dope. So there was that. And he basically says to Candela that he feels like because of her, he needs to step his game up. Basically saying that, like, Candela has, this block party that he's working with Issa, that she's working with Issa. She has 2 other projects that she named that she's working on also. And then she's also throwing this Friendsgiving. He's like, you make me feel like I need to step my game up and I need to do something. And she goes, no, you're perfect. You're fine. Keep that in mind, because this is going to come back later on in the episode. He says, I feel like I need to step up my game. And she said, no, you're perfectly fine. Remember that. We then go into this being the 2 months before the block party. So it was Halloween. And now we're in Thanksgiving mode. So 2 months before the block party means that the block party will be happening in January to kick off the new year. Lawrence goes into a coffee shop. Not typically. The exact coffee shop is the coffee shop that Candela introduced Issa to. Lawrence sees Issa, and he sees that she's watching that murder mystery show. Now, the murder mystery. Hold on, I don't know if I'm going to sneeze yet. Thank you. Thank you. So, you guys know that Insecure is one of those shows that has a show within the show. Previous seasons had that whole slave show going on where, like, somebody was messing with the master or whatever. So this season, it's basically a cross in between The Next 48 and Murder, She Wrote. So a girl has been missing and has been taken, and they think that the boyfriend did it and all this other stuff. So basically they're just playing that within the show and see in different times. So you're basically catching up with 2 shows at the same time. Lawrence makes like a little reference saying like, oh, just so you know, blah, 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 blah. He basically spoils the next episode for Issa because she's trying to catch up. And she's like, oh, so you spoiling stuff now. And they have like kind of like a tit for tat joke on movies. Like one of Issa's was like, the best man, and the best man actually wasn't the best man. He was the worst man. And then Lawrence tried to come back with, well, everybody and set it off. They actually all died except for Jada Pinkett. She's the only one who lived. So I think this is something that they might have done when they were dating. And maybe this is something that we just hadn't seen before when in their interaction. But it was a cute little moment. And then Candela comes out of nowhere like, Jada Pinkett died? And he's like, no, she's alive. So then it gets a little awkward because now we have all 3 of them at the same time in the same place, Candela, Lawrence, and Issa. We have not had any threesome interaction, basically, or a throuple interaction between each other, like Molly says later on the episode, on screen since Issa found out that Candela and Lawrence are dating. So it becomes like a little awkward moment between all 3, and Issa's like, sorry Candela, I had to steal your shop. I just love the peacefulness and Macy Gray's playing in the background and I can ignore her. It's just cool. So Candela's like, no, I like that you like the coffee shop. So basically in a wrap up, she gets her food and she's leaving, and she sees Lawrence and Candela kind of kissing and stuff. And you can kind of see Issa's kind of hurt, but not really in a sense. We then move on into Molly and Issa going grocery shopping for Thanksgiving. Molly talks about how the fact that she's still mad at her father because in the last season we find out at her parents' renewal of their vows that Molly's father cheated on her mother at some point in time. We don't know when it happened, but it probably happened when they were like younger, and I mean like kids, when her father cheated on her mom, and she just has not forgiven her dad since. If we put this in a real life timeline, I'm going to say that their renewal of their vows kind of happened around I'm going to say around like May or June. So now that it's Thanksgiving, we can see how long it's been since she's been mad at her father. And so Molly and Issa are kind of like just talking about what she's going to do with her dad. And then they get into a conversation about Andrew. They don't know if Molly should invite him or not. Issa says, well, you guys have only been dating for about 2 or 3 months. I don't think you need to pull the trigger and invite him to another to a family function. And Molly's like, well, we're exclusive now, so I think it's time that I should introduce him to my family. And Issa kind of says, well, don't do the thing that old Molly would do, which is like, kind of run him off. Molly feels a little salty and a sting from Issa's comment, because if you guys remember, at the end of the first episode, Molly tells Issa that she just feels like you just like your life being messy. It doesn't have to be messy. Issa felt some type of way about that. At the end of at the end of episode 2, we have Issa telling Molly, when it came in reference of Andrew, I feel like you have a problem with everything. Like, you make an issue with everything. Like, it doesn't have to always be such a big deal. All right. Now, it wasn't Issa attacking Molly. She was just giving her helpful advice, saying, you don't have to think about everything so critically. Like, sometimes it's okay just to let certain things be. All right. Now, when Molly said to Issa that you like your life messy, it's only because Issa doesn't mind still being friends with Candela while she's dating Lawrence. So I am on Team Issa, not Team Molly. Reasons being is because Issa's trying to grow, have good vibes. And that's what we got off the first episode. In the first 10 minutes, she said, I want to be better. I want to have good vibes. I want to have a better outlook on life. And because Issa is making moves that Molly wouldn't do, Molly is judging her for it. So in that, once she said it to Molly, Molly kind of said, well, I'm not too sure if I could still be friends with Candela. Like, I don't know how you're still friends with Candela knowing she's dating Lawrence. And she's like, I'm dealing with it. It's fine. It's okay. Like, I don't care. I have a block party that I have to prepare for. It's okay. And she's like, I don't know, girl. I just couldn't do it. Like, to have somebody who's a friend of mine dating an ex, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not right. So Issa felt attacked because it's like, how many times are you going to basically tell me you're a stupid hoe for doing this? So Issa turned right around and she said, oh, okay, but it was cool for what you did with Dro. Now, if you guys remember from last season, season 3, Molly started sleeping with her best friend Dro, the one who's been her neighbor since she was young, who is married to his wife, Candace. And Molly knew that he was in an open relationship when he told her, and she continued to have sex with him. So basically, Issa's saying, you're condemning me for being friends with someone who happens to be dating my ex and me being an adult and being cool with it, but yet it was okay for you to have sex with a married man. But yet you're mad at your dad for cheating on your mom. Like, that doesn't make any sense, So Molly kind of came back to her, and I didn't hear what she said all the way through, but I heard toiletries and I heard Daniel and I heard sleeping with. So what I think is what Molly said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Molly said, at least I wasn't sleeping with someone for somewhere to sleep in toiletries. And what she's basically referencing to is, in my mind, when Issa was down and out and didn't have a place to stay. She didn't have money for an apartment, and she was sleeping on Daniel's couch. So basically, she's referencing to the fact that she slept with someone, and because of that, she cheated on Lawrence. They broke up. She couldn't pay for the apartment, so she moved in with Daniel for like a couple of weeks just to have somewhere to live. I don't think that's right for Molly to do. Issa was basically telling you to stop coming at her about being friends with somebody, and you're coming at her like living situation that she had trouble with that you didn't try to help because you guys couldn't live together because you're best friends. Like, I don't see why Molly would even bring that up. So Molly and her kind of both go back and forth. Like, I think we've had tension for a couple months now, and it just seems like we haven't been close. So Issa and Molly both agree that they would talk when Issa goes over her parents' house for some pie. We jump over into Candela's house where she's about to get ready for the Friendsgiving. Lawrence comes over. He sees that the sink needs fixing, so he goes and tries to fix the sink from YouTube. I will let you know, in my own experience in my household, when my brother went to go do that, it was an explosion of water everywhere. Hot, steaming water. Like, he burnt his hand and everything. So if you want something done, make sure you look at it thoroughly, watch the video thoroughly. Don't go as it do. Make sure you get everything the same as that sink, just so that you don't mess up. And so we hop back over into Molly's household, and we find Molly's over her mom's house. She's like, are you ready for these pies? We see that Molly's younger brother's girlfriend is pregnant. And Molly sees her dad and kind of basically just dismisses him. Later on in the episode, I know I'm going to forget, so I'm just going to say it now. Later on in the episode, while her mom is setting up for dinner, Molly talks to her mom about a boyfriend, because her mom's like, where's my grandbabies at? And Molly's like, you know that your son has a child already, because Molly has like a 7-year-old nephew, and then her younger brother's girlfriend is pregnant, and her mother's like, girl, your brothers have different choices about life that I don't need you to be having. So Molly shows her mom the picture of Andrew, and she's like, is he Korean? Is he Korean? And she's like, Mom, she goes, I got grace to ask question. Her older brother sees it too. And she's like, well, why didn't you invite him? And she said, well, Issa says that might not be a good idea. We don't want to scare him off. And she goes, listen, honey, it doesn't matter how long you guys been dating. If he likes you and he wants you, he's going to accept all of you. So don't you worry about that. We then see that Issa and her brother, I cannot remember his name for the life of me right now, are walking towards their mother's boyfriend's house to have Thanksgiving over there. And they see an ambulance there. The boyfriend slipped on some gravy. The mother goes to the hospital with him, and she asked them to stay at the house with his daughters, the twins, and to just, have Thanksgiving with the family. And they're like, yeah, no, we're grown. We're adults. We're not doing that. So thanks though. So they went to a Mexican restaurant. When they arrived at the Mexican restaurant, Issa texts Molly and said, hey, I'm going to be a little late for pie. Just hold it for me. Well, she basically, in the text, she really said, Thanksgiving got crazy. I'll be over at a later time, than I was supposed to, basically. Molly gets that text and she just replies, do you, girl. Now, everybody and they mama know. When you write do you, in any instance, that means I don't care. You're nothing to me. You're shady. I don't like you no more. Get the on. That's basically what do you means. Like, if somebody texts me like, all right, Candace, do you? It's like, oh, you got a problem. Oh, you got drama. What's up? Because this bonnet could come off. Not right now, because it's looking a little crazy underneath here. But you get what I'm saying. So Issa and her brother are at this Mexican restaurant. And I'm not going to keep going back and forth in the episode. I'm just going to tell you guys what's happening in that spot right then and there. So since we're already at this part, let me talk about it. So Issa and her brother are at the Mexican restaurant, and they're having like this really lovely brother-sister moment that we, never get a chance to see them have. Because they're always having like a sibling rivalry, y'all, my tongue, I've been talking for like literally an hour now. My mouth is tired. Rivalry that they always go at it with each other. So this is a great time to see two siblings kind of just having a moment together. They're having Thanksgiving together because like they didn't want to share with anybody else. Really, from the jump, they just wanted it to be them and their mother. And they kind of just start cackling about how Thanksgiving was growing up and how it was with their dad and stuff like that. And their mom is super, super Christian-like. Their mom is actually Tasha Mack from the game from BET, which is kind of funny. So you can understand where they got their personality from just off of, I don't know, it's not Tasha, but she acted like Tasha kind of, sort of. So They talked about their life growing up, and her brother made a reference like, well, at least you got to be you at Thanksgiving. Do you remember when I brought my roommate Jordan? So basically, her brother had brought his boyfriend to Thanksgiving, and they kind of like thought about the time that their mom was saying like this overly religious prayer to take away the gayness or something like that. I'm not too sure. And they kind of just talked and laughed about that. And Issa's like, well, whatever happened to Jordan? And he's like, girl, I dropped him off at the curb, okay? He didn't like the way that I was, and I refused to change who I am for anyone. For anyone. I think there was a reference there that I wrote down. Let me see. No, I didn't write anything down. But basically, she basically says, I'm not going to change for anyone, which I completely agree. You shouldn't change for anyone to be with them. And then, he kind of asked, well, he didn't ask, but like Molly gets the "do you girl" text, like I said earlier, and then replies back, all right, girl. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. Molly sends "do you girl" to Issa after Issa sends the text saying that I'll come by later. Thanksgiving got crazy. Instead of saying, oh, I hope everything's okay or anything, you reply, "do you girl," but all right, cool, whatever. So Molly sends that. Issa reads the "do you girl" text, and she's just like, okay. At that time, her brother asks, like, well, how are you doing? Like, what's going on in your dating life and everything like that. And Issa kind of just brings up her emotions. This is the first time that we've heard Issa bring up how she truly feels about Candela and Lawrence dating. And she basically tells her brother that she's okay with it. She is really fine with it. It's just the mere fact that I know what she feels, so I'm kind of emotional about it. She basically said that she was together with Lawrence for 5 years. And 5 years is a very long time. She was with Lawrence together for 5 years. And she said she was with the nigga with potential. He had the drive. He had the want and the desire. It just was never locked and keyed in with him. And she said that she feels like Candela now is reaping all the benefits of all the years that I put into Lawrence. Now he's a great analyst. He's working at this firm, and he's such a great person. And she goes, he's completely different than who he was when I was with him. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but like Candela gets all the good that Lawrence could have and is. Where I had to put in so much work with Lawrence to get him to where he is. And it's not saying that Issa made Lawrence. It's the fact that you know how it is when you've been with a person for so long that anything, words of affirmation, work, dedication, nights of staying up with them, looking for a job with them, all of that other person doesn't get to see that. They didn't have to go through that. They get the benefits of what the work you did with that person. They get that. I said that wrong, but you get what I'm saying. She's basically reaping the benefits that Issa sowed into Lawrence. And at some point, she feels a little jealous about it. Like, she doesn't like it. She feels a little jealous about it. And she's like, you know what? I'm being petty. I shouldn't have said my feelings. It's okay. And her brother said, no, you have the right to feel that way. You have the right. You did everything that you're supposed to do with Lawrence. And unfortunately, it ended the way it ended, but you put the work in. Forget him. You have the right to have your feeling. Out of nowhere, a mariachi band comes and starts playing for them, and Issa takes her phone and she shares it to her Instagram story that she's at Thanksgiving, Mexican style, with her brother, and shows her face too. Remember that for later, okay? Remember that for later. Remember how I told you Lawrence and Candela talked about in the beginning that Lawrence feels like she could do more because Candela does so much, and she says, you're perfect. That was the reference that I was talking about. When Issa said, I put so much work into Lawrence, and for him to be great now, that's Lawrence saying, I feel like I have to strive to be better, is because he's still in the mindset of, I have to be better than my girlfriend. I have to be the same or better than the person I'm dating, because what happened last time is I got cheated on. And when Candela says, you're perfect, that's when it came into play of Issa's word saying, you're reaping what I had to put into that nigga for him to be perfect for you. So there's that. We then move back into Molly's household, and she's still mad at her dad. She doesn't want to be on his team to play Tamboo. Her brother brings her to the kitchen and said, you know what? You didn't get cheated on. Mom did. So if mom got over it, dad got over it, and he fixed his problems like the man that he was supposed to do, why are you having such a big problem with it? And she goes, because it doesn't sit right with me. How could he cheat on her? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, it happened to mom, not you, Molly. And it's true. I mean, I would be upset if I found out my dad cheated on my mom. But at the same time, if my mother took it like a G and she got over it and they stayed married for an extra 20 to 30 years, hey, bro, it ain't my war to fight. Whatever. I don't care. But Molly, once again, is taking everything and internalizing it into herself and making it such a big deal instead of just letting bygones be bygones. Any which way, Molly ends up making up her dad by giving him a slice of pie. But that's besides the point. And Molly sees, well, I'll tell that part afterwards. We get back to Candela's place, and they're all kind of sitting around after eating dinner, and two of her friends are getting married, and she's like, you know, you guys, if you want to look for a venue, look at art galleries. And they're like, well, do you just want to plan it? Candela says, I ain't going near marriage again. Because if you don't remember, Candela is divorced, and she's been divorced for like a year and a half. And so she's like, I ain't thinking about marriage. And so Lawrence goes into the kitchen to get more wine, and Candela's very drunk friend Vicky goes in there with him and says, I'm so glad that she met you. She just needed to have fun. She just needed to let loose. She was just so stuck up for such a long time, and I'm so glad that she finally just let loose with you, basically. Fast forward, after their friends leave, Lawrence is like, you know, I'm glad that you invited me. And Candela's like, I technically didn't invite you. And he's like, so what are you saying? You wouldn't have invited me? She goes, well, I mean, this is new and stuff. I didn't want to bombard you with meeting my friends and bringing you out in public and stuff like that. And he's like, so your friend Vicky was right. She goes, what do you mean? He's like, basically, I'm your F buddy. I'm just your booty call. And she goes, why would she say that? Like, I would apologize for her, but why would you think that she would say that? He's like, I don't know. Is it true? Am I just something for fun? And she's like, Lawrence, no. And he's like, and do you not want to get married again? And she goes, Lawrence, I just got divorced a year and a half ago, bro. I'm not thinking about marriage. What are you talking about? I don't want to get married right now. Or again, if in that matter. And she's like, what does that have to do with anything? He goes, I don't know. It just seems like, you know, you don't want me around. You didn't really invite me. You don't want to get married again. Like, where do you want this to go? You know, and it kind of creates like some tension between Lawrence and, Candela. And he's like, you know, at the end of the day, honestly, are you not over your ex? Are you still getting over your ex? And she's like, no, I'm over my ex. If anybody has to be scared or worried about an ex, it should be me. And he goes, what are you talking about? She's like, you and Issa, like, you guys have your own jokes. You guys see each other. You guys share the same friends. Like, how do you think that makes me feel? And he goes, but that's just us. Like, there's nothing going on between us. There's nothing going on. She goes, I know, but how do you think that makes me feel? Like, I sometimes feel like I'm inferior to Issa. I'm like inferior to Issa. So then we have, we have Candela then saying, what if Issa didn't cheat? He goes, she did cheat. She goes, yes, Issa cheated. But what if she didn't cheat? He goes, what do you mean? She goes, would you still be with Issa if she didn't cheat? He's like, I don't know, because she cheated. She was like, but if Issa did not cheat, would you have broken up with her? And it kind of ends there. And that's a really good question. If Issa did not cheat, if Lawrence put in the same work and dedication that he strived to while still with Issa, do you guys think that they still would be together? Who's to know? Drop it down in the comments what you think. Then we have Issa dropping off her brother from the restaurant. And she's like, you know, I enjoyed our time together. They get a text from their mom saying, thank you guys so much for being good sports and spending time with his family. And they're like, you know what? We still didn't want to go. It doesn't matter. And her brother says, you know, I enjoyed this Thanksgiving anyway. And Issa said, I did too. And they hug each other out. She's like, I hate you. He goes, I hate you more. And he gets out the car. Before he gets out the car, though, he says, he's what when his mom texted them like, thanks for spending time with the family, he's like, I didn't want to do it. She goes, and then Issa says, well, we should have just did it. He goes, no, I shouldn't have to do anything that I don't want to do. That's not how that goes. It kind of put a seed in Issa's brain. So once he gets out the car, she texted Molly and she's like, you know what? Can we just talk later? Because in Issa's mind, it's like, I don't have to talk when you want to talk. And I don't have to do when you want to do. I should be able to move and think and breathe just the way I do. And it just seems like Molly has had some type of dictation over Issa's life in this season, just kind of questioning her and judging her with her friendship with Candela. Once she texts Molly, can we talk about this later? Molly's kind of like, all right, fine, whatever. And gives her dad some pie to act as a peace treaty, saying like, you know what, Dad, we cool or whatever. It's fine. We end the episode with Lawrence on the couch, catching up with the investigative show that's within the show. So sidebar, it's like I said before, it's a show that's kind of like the Next 48 and Murder, She Wrote mixed together. The girl's missing. The police don't even care about the girl. They're talking about the Toyota, and this black reporter's like, we're talking about the girl. The reason why we're here is because the girl's missing. And the police are like, we'll find the Toyota and just leave. And so basically that just puts into a concept that the world pays attention to everything else but the person at hand who's missing. Lawrence then goes through his Instagram feed like everyone has been throughout the episode. Issa and Molly have been going through their Instagram feed looking at Kelly and Tiffany's household and what they've been doing for Thanksgiving. So like I told you, Kelly had her family over, her aunts over. Tiffany and Derek just celebrated Thanksgiving themselves. So now we're getting a point of view from Lawrence's phone. So he goes through Kelly's family. They had like an arm wrestle fight and stuff like that. He then goes through Tiffany and Derek's feed, and it's Derek taking a plate of macaroni and cheese and ham off of Tiffany's belly. Basically saying, we had a good Thanksgiving. And then he gets to Issa's, and it's Issa recording the mariachi band on her Instagram, showing her brother and then showing herself. And Lawrence reacts to the story with laughing emojis. And he's like, yo, that's mad funny. And then we just see Issa's name popping up in the messages with a couple of bubbles. And that's where we end the episode with Maya's Case of the Ex playing at the end. If you guys don't know the song, I'll give you a little interpretation. It's after midnight and she's all alone, trying to come over. Wait. It's after midnight and she's on your phone, trying to come over 'cause she's all alone. I could tell it was your ex by your tone. Why is she calling now after so long? Now what is it that she wants? Do. You can go look it up on YouTube after you see this video. Case of the Ex by Maya. It basically just gives a great wrap up of, Lawrence and Candela's worries about, each other's exes or expectations of what the relationship is going to bring. But that is then the end of the episode. For the next episode, we have baby Simone. Tiffany and Derek have their baby. So we have baby Simone coming to the world, and we have Molly and Issa kind of riffing between each other. Issa asks Kelly if Molly has mentioned anything to her about her. Basically, Issa asked Kelly if Molly had mentioned anything to her about herself. Molly is judging Issa and Lawrence for being friends. It's just a whole lot of that. I think is going to go down in episode 4. So I am looking forward to it. That is the end of my wrap up. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned and staying here for all these 30 so minutes of this recap. I know that it took a little while for me to talk about it, but there was a lot that was going on that I needed to give to you guys. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for joining me and liking this video and being here and subscribing and telling your friends. I appreciate it. And until next time, guys, on the next Insecure recap, recap. It was nice swiping with you.